Thank you. Uh, I recently had some health problems, and I've been staying over with my daughter over in Missouri, just north of St. Joe, and it only involves my heart, my lungs, and my kidneys, and but I'm doing well, and we'll see. But also, in a few days, I'll be 87 years old. I can't believe I. Thank you. But I wanted to just talk about why a Catholic like me would be a Unitarian Universalist. And I am Catholic. I mean, you can't get more Catholic than me, really. I mean, both parents can trace theirs back probably to the 5th century to St. Patrick. And I'm the oldest of 11 kids. I went to St. Cecilia's, St. Bernard's grade schools, all nuns. And I went to Spalding, priests and brothers. Then I entered the seminary to be a priest. That was 4 years, priest, brothers. And I dropped out, and it was I didn't want to live the rest of my life celibate, which is the usual reason. But and of course, there's two real impediments to being a priest. One is being married to a woman, and the other is being a woman. And I dropped out. I got on the police department. It was just a bunch of my buddies were taking the test, and it looked interesting. I took it, and I did well, and I loved the work. I really did. It was a continuation of what I had been doing. I'm taking care of people with serious problems, helping them, and fighting crime and stomping out evil. I went in the Army, got drafted 2 years. And as an aside, I want to just compliment the wonderful way the VA, the Veterans Administration, has been treating me. I'm eligible for that. And I just hope a certain bozo doesn't ruin them, and he wants to. But I got married, and this was, I don't think, a coincidence. She was the oldest of 12 and just dropped out of the convent. Really. We had 4 really neat kids, and they're taking care of me. I think my daughter is turning into my mother right now. And I've been living with her, my oldest daughter, Cece, over in Missouri. But my career in the FBI was like a meteor. I just went right up. I went from Yuma, Arizona to Utica, New York. I mean, a beautiful city. And then to East St. Louis, Illinois, and then to Peoria. So I just rose to the top. And when we got to Belleville, interesting, that was East St. Louis. First off, I went to Racism 101 there. Belleville is an all-white city overlooking East St. Louis, which is all black and on the floodplain. And they even managed to move the office out of East St. Louis up to Belleville, and it was hidden over a drugstore. And they even had it from East St. Louis to Belleville was a long-distance phone call. But anyway, my wife started going to a scripture class that was floating around the diocese down there, and I started going, and it was fantastic. This is things I didn't learn in seminary, and I am as rigidly conservative as you can possibly get, politically and religiously. My hero back then was Barry Goldwater, And but it was mind-opening, the scripture class. And I decided, my dad had gone to St. Louis University and just raved about the Jesuit priests over there. So I took a night class over there, and I thought it'd be a Jesuit. It turned out to be a nun, and but she was good. She really was. And one of the things she did, I can just remember so well, and it kind of changed everything I thought about my religion. She'd been a missionary. She was a guest speaker, a missionary in Peru, and was kicked out by the bishop down there at the pressure of the government. And she said, well, we just went around to houses and huts and tried to console them. Why your little girl died. It's God's will. She said, it's not God's will. It's the goddamn water they have to drink, filthy coming out of that copper mill. And it got her kicked out, that attitude. There's a famous bishop in Brazil, Helder Camara, and it's on T-shirts and posters. A quote that I help the poor, the needy, and the hungry, and they call me a saint. But if I dare ask why are they poor and need and hungry, they call me a communist. And this is an attitude that was taking place mainly in South and Central America, but it spread Philippines and Africa, and it was coming into the U.S. and later got a handle, liberation theology. Martin Luther King was a liberation theologian. Exactly, and that's why he got in so much trouble. I got transferred to Peoria finally, and they put me in security. I'd always worked criminal. I'd worked organized crime. I loved the work. I was good at developing informants. And now I'm a head of the spies in Peoria. And I met Bill Ordaz there. He was at Caterpillar, handled the foreign visitors. And I'd have to go over and talk to Bill and who's who. And all I did is count noses when they came and count noses when they left. But I'm looking forward to retirement. That's all I was doing then. But I got a chance to go up to Mundelein College, a women's college in Chicago. And there's every good Catholic college around the country. There's always, because they're all boys, there's always a women's college that kind of, the attitude is educate the women so they can be educated wives and mothers of these men's family. And Mundelein was one of them. They've since merged into Loyola University, by the way, because they're co-ed, all of them are. But they had a three-pronged program. One was environmental theology, and I got a little prayer card, holy card. I'll read this at the end. This kind of sums up, I think, what they taught there. And liberation theology they were teaching, and feminist theology, we'll call it. And wow. It wasn't what women have done in the church in the past, because there isn't much really, but it's why they couldn't and never have. I got a little thing I'll read. A couple quotes from some of our, top Catholics in history. Here's St. Augustine. Any woman who acts in such a way as she cannot give birth to as many children as she is capable of makes herself guilty of that many murders. I'm not making this up. I mean, here's St. Thomas Aquinas. A woman was created to be man's helpmate, but her unique role is in conception, since for no other purpose men would be better assisted by other men. Here, another famous Catholic, Father Martin Luther. Do you know that each of you women is an Eve? You are the gate of hell. You are the temptress of the forbidden tree. You are the first deserter of the divine law. I mean, this is, things they brought out that have been left untranslated through history. But recently, we watched the new Pope come in. And I saw the scene of, the Vatican and the crowd out here surrounded. And these acres of men dressed in red, men dressed in purple, the other men, the mixture, and I think those were another acre of probably women and lay people. They don't get it, and they're dying off. I was recently in Ireland, and the Archdiocese of Dublin, so 1.3 million Catholics, and they're down to, they have 300 priests left, and a third of them are over 80. And like I say, they don't get it. And I've come to the conclusion that my Catholic Church is sinful, guilty, and I can't contribute to that anymore. I would be wrong if I remained a Catholic, because in this day and age, they don't get it. So I dropped out of the church, and I did a lot of checking around, going to other churches, because Sunday morning I got to get up and go to church. I mean, that's me. I can't help it. But another thing happened here. This new way of thinking, something might break in me and the conservative FBI. I get a lead one day, and it's to investigate 4 veterans. One is World War II, the other 3 Vietnam. One of them won the Congressional Medal of Honor, by the way, Charlie Litke. Were protesting what was going on then in Nicaragua, where we built an army trying to overthrow the government. And I had been following that. And we investigate what they were doing. Their protest was a fast. I mean, they were on the steps of the Capitol not eating. And we're trying to call them saboteurs and terrorists. I just said, I won't do it. But I went a step further. I put it in writing. And then my boss ordered me in and said, you do it. And I said, I won't. Well, that was insubordination. I got fired. They won. But I was 10 months shy of retirement. And, I gave up a health insurance plan, everything. It changed me. I mean, it shocked me. What do I do now? And I remember going to a church picnic that Sunday. I think it was Friday. I got fired, and run into my cousin. We're real close. And said, what's new? And I pushed off the question. So I called, I better do something. I called Elaine Hopkins. Some of you might know her. She was with the Journal and a good friend. I said, I might have a story for you. See what you think. Well, next morning, it was the headline of the Journal. I'm getting call after call from the AP, the UP, Reuters. A call from Scott Simon of NPR. I listened to him every Saturday morning. He interviewed me. Harry Reasoner had me on 60 Minutes. I was traveling to colleges, and Bradley set me up in a course teaching nonviolence. I was all of a sudden, and I didn't ask, I'm Mr. Peace. And anyway, I became head of the Peoria Area Peace Network. And, I can't help it, but I was. And finally, I guess I calmed things down by I took 2 years off and built a boat. And later sunk it in the Illinois River, but that's another story. But what interested me, I'm looking for another religion. I'm looking in different churches because Sunday morning I got to get up and go to church. And but also a lot of the peacemakers that I've learned to meet, become my close friends, several of them were died off then, that period of time. And I just, think of some of them that went to their funerals. Dorothy Murray, I don't remember her. J.D. Wheeler, he was the head of the ACLU. Cora Rawson, she was a UU, young, active, just a dynamo. And she had cancer and died. Tom Edwards, he was a prophet of the environment, really. But I mentioned these people, Art Greenberg, they keep coming to the funeral, and it's out here. Why are all the progressive people that I know that are dying, why are they UUs? And so I joined about 10 years ago, and I'm greeted at the door with Pat Harris and Warren Harris. And the church is just loaded with people in the Peace Network. And I found a home. And, I was just thinking a couple months ago, there was a demonstration in Peoria, and I've backed off a lot of stuff. I'm just getting old. But I went down, I put on this old orange jumpsuit I had, that we had a protest about Guantanamo, and I had a black hood that I was one of the Guantanamo prisoners. And it was Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, was here, and he helped the torture down there, by the way. And so I'm standing there, and there's a crowd, and there's speakers. And finally, a clergy person got up and spoke. Who was it? Reverend Jennifer from here. So I found a home, and that's why I became a Unitarian, and I am a Unitarian. I'm still Catholic. I can't get rid of that, but I am. And but that's why I joined.